Hollywood Hills, summer 1955. A crowded party at a producer's mansion. James Dean stands in the corner, drink in hand, watching everyone perform. A 22-year-old film student from USC works up the courage to approach him. "Mr. Dean, everyone here wants to be you. What's your secret?" The room gets quieter. People lean in to hear. Dean looks at the kid, then at the crowd, pretending not to listen. What he says next makes the entire party go silent. Not because it's profound, because it's terrifying. The mansion belonged to a mid-level producer, someone important enough to throw parties that mattered, but not important enough that top-tier stars felt obligated to attend, which meant the guest list was a mix of rising talent, desperate hopefuls, and industry veterans trying to stay relevant. The kind of party where everyone smiled too much and laughed too loud and pretended they weren't constantly calculating who could help their career. James Dean hadn't wanted to come. His agent practically begged him. "You need to be seen. Rebel premieres in 3 months. Giant wrapped. You're about to be the biggest star in Hollywood. Show your face. Be charming. Make them love you." Dean said he'd think about it, which meant no. But his agent kept pushing. Finally, Dean agreed, showed up 2 hours late, walked in wearing jeans and a white t-shirt to a room full of suits and cocktail dresses. The film student's name was Michael. He'd gotten into the party through a friend of a friend. Wasn't supposed to be there, didn't belong, but he was obsessed with cinema, with acting, with the craft. He'd seen East of Eden 4 times, studied every frame, every expression on Dean's face, every choice. He thought if he could just understand how Dean did it, he could do it too. Michael had been at the party for an hour, nursing the same beer, watching. He saw Dean the moment he walked in, that presence, that energy, different from everyone else. While other people worked the room, Dean walked straight to the corner, got a drink from the bar, found a spot where he could see everything but didn't have to participate, just watched, like he was studying them, or judging them, or both. For 30 minutes, Michael worked up courage. He rehearsed what he'd say, practiced looking casual. Finally, he walked over, his heart pounding so hard he could hear it. Dean was alone, staring at the crowd with an expression somewhere between amusement and contempt. Michael cleared his throat. "Mr. Dean?" Dean turned, looked at him. Didn't smile, didn't encourage, just waited. Michael's rehearsed words evaporated. He blurted out the truth. "I'm Michael. I study film at USC. I've watched East of Eden 4 times. I want to act. I want to be like you. What's your secret? How do you do what you do?" Dean took a sip of his drink. His eyes stayed on Michael, measuring. Around them, conversations were getting quieter. People were noticing, leaning in, pretending to talk to each other while actually listening. Dean glanced at them, then back at Michael. "You want my secret?" "Yes," Michael said, his voice eager, desperate. Dean set his drink down. "The secret is I'm dying every time I'm on camera." Michael blinked. "What?" Dean's expression didn't change. "I'm dying, slowly, painfully, every take, every scene. I'm letting pieces of myself die so the character can live. That's the secret." The room had gone quiet now. Not silent, but conversations had stopped. People were listening openly. Michael didn't know what to say. Dean continued, "You said everyone here wants to be me. They don't. They want what they think I have. Fame, attention, success. But they don't want what it costs." "What does it cost?" Michael asked quietly. Dean looked around the room, at all the people pretending not to listen, at the actors and producers and agents, at the whole machine of Hollywood. Everything. It costs everything. Your privacy, your peace, your ability to just exist without being watched, judged, consumed. A woman nearby shifted uncomfortably. An actor Michael recognized from television looked away. Dean wasn't finished. "Every time I walk on set, I have to kill who I am and become someone else. And I don't mean pretend. I mean actually destroy myself. Tear down every wall, every protection, every defense, until there's nothing left but raw nerve endings, and then I let the camera film that. Film me bleeding, film me breaking, film me dying. Michael felt cold. This wasn't the inspiring answer he'd expected. Dean picked up his drink again. You know what happens when you do that? When you give everything to every role, you start to forget who you were before. You look in the mirror and don't recognize yourself anymore. You become this thing, this collection of characters, this performance, and you can't turn it off. Can't go back to being normal. Someone coughed. The room felt heavy, uncomfortable. Dean looked directly at Michael. So that's the secret. You want to do what I do? You have to be willing to lose yourself completely every time. No holding back, no safety net. You have to die and hope you come back, and eventually you might not. Michael's hands were shaking. Is it worth it? Dean smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. I'll let you know when I figure that out. The silence stretched. People didn't know how to respond. This wasn't party conversation. This wasn't networking. This was someone bleeding in public. Finally, a producer laughed nervously. Jimmy, you're being dramatic. It's just acting. Dean turned to him. Is it? When was the last time you actually felt something? Not performed feeling it, actually felt it. The producer's smile faltered. Dean looked back at Michael. That's the difference. Most people in this room are performing their lives, performing happiness, success, confidence. I perform on camera and it destroys me. They perform off camera and it destroys them slower. But we're all dying. I'm just honest about it. An actress near the window spoke up. That's depressing. Dean shrugged. It's true. You asked for my secret. That's it. I'm not teaching you a technique. I'm warning you. This industry eats people, swallows them whole, spits out whatever's left when it's done feeding. You want to survive? Don't be real. Be fake. Protect yourself. Play the game. But you don't play the game, Michael said. Dean's expression became something like sad. No, I don't. And look where it's gotten me. Famous, successful, completely alone. Unable to sleep, unable to trust anyone, unable to just be a normal 24-year-old kid. So yeah, I'm successful by Hollywood standards and miserable by human standards. The party had fully stopped now. Everyone was watching, listening. Some looked angry, some looked sad, some looked scared, because Dean was saying things out loud that everyone felt, but no one admitted. The producer who'd called him dramatic tried again. Jimmy, come on, you're doing great. You're about to be the biggest star in the world. And then what? Dean asked. I become bigger, more successful, more isolated, more consumed? When does it end? When do I get to just be a person again? No one had an answer. Dean finished his drink, set the glass down, looked at Michael one more time. You wanted to know my secret? Now you know. I give everything, hold nothing back, destroy myself every time. And it's made me unforgettable, but it's also made me incapable of being happy. So you decide if that's worth it. Michael felt tears in his eyes. He didn't know why. Dean put a hand on his shoulder. You're young. You still have time to choose a different path. Be a cinematographer, a director, a writer, something where you can create without destroying yourself. Because if you choose acting, real acting, the kind I do, you won't survive it intact. Nobody does. Dean walked away, toward the door. The party stayed quiet, watching him leave. He didn't say goodbye to anyone, didn't thank the host, just left. The door closed behind him. Slowly, conversation started again. But they were different, subdued, uncomfortable. People were processing what they'd heard, what Dean had revealed, the ugliness beneath the glamour. If stories like this matter to you, you'll find more of them here. Michael stood there for a long time, not moving. People came up to him, asked what it was like talking to James Dean. He couldn't answer, couldn't explain. What Dean had said wasn't advice, it was a warning, a confession, a prophecy, and it changed everything Michael thought he knew about acting, about Hollywood, about success. He left the party an hour later, drove back to his apartment in silence, sat at his desk, stared at the posters on his wall. East of Eden. Rebel Without a Cause promotional images. James Dean's face, that intensity, that honesty. Michael had idolized it, wanted to replicate it, but now he understood the cost, and it terrified him. 3 months later, Rebel Without a Cause premiered. Dean didn't attend. He was dead. The Porsche crash. Highway 46, September 30th. Michael went to the screening, watched Dean on screen, saw what Dean had described, that self-destruction, that complete commitment, that willingness to die for the character, and it was brilliant, heartbreaking, unforgettable. But knowing what it had cost made it hard to watch. Michael changed his major the following semester, switched from acting to cinematography. He told himself it was practical, better job prospects, more stable career. But the truth was he couldn't stop thinking about what Dean had said. If you choose acting, real acting, you won't survive it intact. Michael wanted to survive, wanted to be happy, wanted a life that didn't require destroying himself. He graduated in 1958, started working as a camera operator, then a cinematographer, had a good career, worked on important films, made a decent living, got married, had kids, built a life. But he never forgot that night, never forgot Dean standing in that corner, warning everyone about the price of honesty, the cost of greatness, the danger of refusing to protect yourself. Do you think Dean was right, that you can't be truly great without destroying yourself? Or was he just young and dramatic and scared? Decades later, Michael became a professor, taught cinematography at USC, the same school where he'd been a student dreaming of being an actor. Sometimes students would ask him why he didn't pursue acting. He'd tell them he wasn't good enough, didn't have the talent, but that wasn't true. The truth was he'd met James Dean once, and Dean had shown him what real acting required, and Michael had decided he wasn't willing to pay that price. In the 1990s, a documentary crew interviewed Michael about classic Hollywood, asked if he'd met any famous actors back then. He told them about the party, about Dean's answer. The filmmakers asked if he could remember Dean's exact words. Michael closed his eyes. "The secret is I'm dying every time I'm on camera. I'm letting pieces of myself die so the character can live. And it's made me unforgettable, but it's also made me incapable of being happy." The interviewer was quiet, then asked, "Do you think he knew he was going to die soon?" Michael shook his head. "I think he knew he was dying already, just slowly. The crash just made it faster." That night at the party wasn't remembered by most people who were there. It didn't make headlines, wasn't recorded, no photographs, just a moment, a conversation, a 24-year-old star telling the truth to a room full of people who'd built careers on lying. And it made everyone uncomfortable, because the truth always does. That was the night a film student asked James Dean for his secret. And Dean gave an answer that was so honest, so raw, so terrifying that it ended the party. 3 months later, Dean was dead. And that student spent the rest of his life grateful he'd chosen a different path, because Dean had been right. Some forms of greatness require destroying yourself, and not everyone is willing to burn that bright,